Welcome to the Getting High podcast. Today we have John Levy. Some of you may know him as sports mogul, Mr. Entrepreneur, roundtable expert, but to me, he's my dad. And we got a lot of good information out of him today. He gave us everything about balancing family and work, to successes and failures, to just what keeps him getting out of bed every morning and going and feeling positive and optimistic in this crazy world that we live in. I learned so much from him, and I think you guys will too. Okay, well, welcome. Thanks, Dad, for coming and showing up. No, you didn't just show up. You took a flight.
Yeah, we did. I did. I did.
You did.
Yeah.
I piggybacked off of another
engagement
obligation.
this evening. Yeah. But it worked out. And here I am.
We'll touch upon that in a bit because it actually has to do with who you are and what you're doing these days and how you're giving back.
Or not doing.
Right. The way you, depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know a lot about you.
Uh-oh.
And being your daughter, I have a lot of insight. And the whole idea with this podcast for me is to really learn from others. I mean, I've learned a lot from you being my father, but in general, for me, it's to understand those stories that not everyone gets to hear, those behind the scenes, what made this interesting for your life trajectory and why you went right versus left, you know, the funny, the bad, the evil, all the kind of stuff that
evil.
Not the evil, but the good, the bad, and all in between that comes with like just doing what you have to do. I hold you in high regards. I know a lot of other people do. And we threw an event together a few weeks ago, and it was very funny because we both had to introduce the speaker was Melissa Lantzman, and we wanted to kind of introduce her, and you always do on your own thing, right? And your own version of what and how you want to do things. So you bring up ChatGPT to give us some intel about who Melissa Lantzman was. And I thought it was very funny. And so I'm sitting there trying to think, how am I going to introduce Dad on this? So
you didn't.
Obviously, obviously. So I pulled it up on ChatGPT. I'm like, who is John Levy? And like, obviously I wanted to do about myself, and I was like too scared. I didn't. So this is literally who pulled up, and I did it just 2 seconds ago.
It's not me. I know. It's that guy. It is that guy.
So this is John Levy number one. Okay?
Okay. I know. I've done this.
Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Jazz. He was a big jazz double. He was a pioneer in the personal. I don't know. He goes on and on, but this is not you. And then I did it again. And the other picture that pulled up was like getting closer, but I mean, he was the same skin color, I should say. And then it was this.
Was he alive? Ooh. Who's that guy?
This is like Bill Gates gone wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, is he a doc?
Honestly, I didn't even look at him because I was like, John Levy, CEO, Canada, Toronto. I had to feed it a little bit more. But let's just put it in right now. John Levy, because I liked what they said. I thought it was like a good little recap of who you are, what you've done, and then we'll get into some of the good questions. Okay, here we go. Look, and then we got the pictures, the right pictures.
Oh, that picture. Yeah. Okay.
So now we got some proper content.
I'm in.
Okay, John S. Levy is a prominent Canadian media entrepreneur, best known as the founder and former CEO of The Score, a digital sports media company based in Toronto. He began his career by expanding his family's small cable business into one of Canada's largest distributors. In the mid-1990s, he launched the Score television network, which became a leader in an interactive sports entertainment reaching over 6.6 million Canadian homes. In 2012, Levy sold the television assets of The Score to Rogers Media, focusing exclusively on the digital platform. Under his leadership, The Score evolved into a leading mobile sports media platform, offering real-time scores, news, and statistics. Following the U.S. legalization of sports betting in 2018, The Score became the first media company to launch a mobile sportsbook in North America, debuting The Score Bet in 2019. In October 21, Penn Entertainment acquired The Score for $2 billion, integrating it into a larger digital sports media and gaming company. Levy and his family played a significant role during this transition, contributing to the development of an in-house technology platform that enhanced the company's sports betting operations. In early 2024, the Levy family announced their departure from Penn Entertainment, marking the end of an era for The Score. Pretty good.
That's not bad. Not
right?
Bad.
Levy's vision, and it ends on this. Levy's vision and leadership have left a lasting impact on the Canadian sports media landscape, transforming The Score from the regional television network into a digital pioneer in sports media and betting.
Right. Right.
Doesn't that feel kind of good when you sum it up?
Yeah. Especially the last part, because the Score as the TV network really was something different, and it really did connect with sort of a young, hyperactive, engaged sports fan that traditional sports networks had left behind,
Right.
like the ESPNs in the States,
Right.
or in Canada, the TSNs,
Right.
which are great services. I mean, and they filled the space, which was, as broadcasters sort of segmented into different areas like news and sports and weather and family and all this. They were sort of stepped up and became the premier sports broadcaster.
Mm-hmm.
And for us in the cable business, because we were still in the cable business at that time, was great, because now we had more programming, we could charge more to the customers,
Right.
and it was super important.
It was innovation for you. It was an opportunity to
phenomenal.
change.
It was great.
Yeah.
But it had sort of this, I don't want to say old school, but sort of traditional view on sports, which
Mm-hmm.
was, we're the experts,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to tell you what we think. And, for a whole generation, it was new, because there, you only got it at 6 or 11 or various times.
It was
Now
rigid.
you had 24/7 people, espousing about what, their views on sports was.
Right.
The thing about sports is everybody thinks they react to sports differently, right? It's all about their own personal engagement.
Right.
So when we built the network, it was more like, well, what do you think? Not what I think. It was
Right.
more, it wasn't this sort of this big picture thing where people were talking to other people. It was more about what the engagement was.
Right. You were looking to the peers to see how they wanted to engage with the sports versus dictating, telling
Correct.
them how to.
It wasn't
how to be watched.
suit and tie sports.
Yeah.
So the guys that we hired to be on the desk were amazing guys that you'd go drinking with.
Yeah.
They were guys that
Cabby.
Yeah, Cabby, Adnan, all they guys.
Yeah.
They couldn't get jobs at the big networks because they didn't fit the mold, right?
Yeah.
And they came, and that's kind of how it all started. So that last part about the description was
Right. Felt good. It hit
and it
right
really
for
was
you.
the basis of the success, because it was untapping or unleashing this power. And I think that speaks to the future too, which we'll talk about, of how people love sports. Like, it's not one formula. Like, you might like sports because you like going to the games. I might like sports because I like to bet on sports.
Right.
You might like sports because you do fantasy. Other people might like sports because they play that particular sport.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one model fits everybody. And that's kind of what we discovered with the Score, which is just let people tell the story.
Right.
You don't have to be the expert to tell the story.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because I feel before social really blew up, you guys were already kind of tapping into this idea of what I hear you saying is personalizing the sports journey for each person. There's a lot about the business that I want to kind of get into and the different avenues you went down, but I do want to talk about where you are right now, because I think that's also really important and a good starting spot, because it's 2025. We got the updates. You sold the company. You made a pretty penny. We're all very fortunate and grateful to be sitting and doing and what we are based on a lot of the successes that you've created. And that's all wonderful. Obviously, wonderful, wonderful things, blessings. But There's a lot of that for you now. I can imagine it being an interesting time period. Like, I don't even want to say the word retirement because I feel like internally makes you cringe.
Yeah, it does.
It's like doesn't suit your persona. But there is this, let's call it a break in between an opportunity. Well, that's, I think, optimistic. And I think that's how you are. But there's this gap of time now between you could turn left, you could turn right, you could go straight, you could put your feet up on the beach. So where are you finding yourself just right now? And be completely candid, because I think that this is relatable to a lot of people, whether they've sold a business or are just in a transitional period where you want to be optimistic, you have drive, but you're a little bit uncertain about what's around the corner.
Yeah, it's a big but. It's a big but. And, my whole business experience is one thing has just led to the other.
Right.
There's never been
it's been natural.
Even a sale wasn't a sale. A sale was just a little hiccup to the next phase, right? So, the cable business, before we sold the cable business, we started the TV network. So, there was no transition there. And then, the TV network grew and grew and we're sort of tapping into this whole digital world before we sold the TV network to Rogers. So there was never a finish. There was nothing. I mean, it was our babies. It was my dad's cable company that I worked in. It was the TV network that me and the boys sort of developed and built and grew in popularity and then morphed into the other world. But nothing finished. There was a sale. It seems like it's complete. But you always were into your next life, your next opportunity, your next exciting new fucking thing that you're building, right? And so this time it was different.
Right.
This time it's like they got
Crickets.
the whole enchilada.
Right.
No, they paid for it for sure.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have done it any differently.
Right.
But you know, all of a sudden it's like you're out. It was a 3-year transition, and that was pretty ugly for the 3 years because it wasn't ours. We weren't calling the shots. We were still busy doing stuff because the nature of the business was that we had sort of moved into different things, and predominantly the boys and the team and the family. That's the other part we haven't really talked about. As we build all these things, you build family, and it's not just the boys.
We're getting there. Don't you worry.
It's all of our employees that were really treated like family.
Oh, sure. Your family at the company. Totally. Sally's like a sister to me.
Yeah. And it was like, this was extended family, right? Yeah. And a lot of companies say that, and it's a lot of bullshit, right? And then they fire them and goodbye, Charlie. Right. Like what's happening now at Penn, quite honestly. But for us, it really was this, we grew together, right? So then that all sort of dissipated, right? So, and then boom, it's done. So that in and of itself is hard. But what really makes it hard in my context is I still fucking love the industry. And the industry is on fire.
Right.
And what's going on today is this huge change within the whole sports landscape. Particularly because of what's happening in technology and AI and stuff.
And you got to taste like a little bit of it on your way out, right?
And we got started and did some amazing shit.
Specifically with the betting, is that what you're referring to? Because that's like a big part of where
even with us with the betting, we did it in a different way. We integrated the betting with the media landscape. Like we had the Score app, right? We had all this high level of engagement. And again, betting is just one form of why people love sports, right? So all the other companies in the betting industry were treating it as this sort of separate, it's a betting app, it's this, and you bolt it on to a league or to sports or something. In our context, it was, no, betting is just part of why people love sports. So if you already got them on the app and they're already doing a whole bunch of crap on the app, then just give them the opportunity.
Right. They're doing it other places anyways. We might as well integrate
it, right?
For years,
before it was legal, that was very frustrating to us because we knew we had that audience. They were taking all our data, all our conversations, and then they were going offshore and betting.
Right.
So our whole philosophy was, just integrate the damn shit inside of betting. Right. So inside of the app, I think that was pretty innovative.
Right.
Other companies, are trying to do the same thing, but if they're coming from the betting side, moving to the media side is different than if you're in the media side, moving into the betting side, because the media side is the holy grail. That's like the big enchilada.
Which is why you held on to it for so long too and created that. Right.
Anyway, and then you layer in now all the new shit that's happening in sports, all the new technology, all the data-driven stuff.
Right.
Not just in terms of betting, but in terms of, how your kids
are going to be able to interact with these games. They're going to be like literally VR, like what? Like
are they sitting there? Well,
players in their
I take your kids to games, right? To hockey games, basketball, the Raptors and the Leafs and stuff. And sometimes it's difficult to keep their attention for the whole game. If it's a boring, shitty game, pops, let's get out of here.
Yeah,
go get me. Can I get another hat? Can we do this?
Yeah,
because they're constantly, so. How are they going to engage with sports?
Right. And is it going to be in the same like long format that it exists now, or is it going to be different?
For sure it's not.
Yeah.
And then you have the ownership side, like the big side, the media side, which is about to blow up.
Right. So it sounds like this in between, there's a lot of different areas that still really interest you. And so what do you, you wake up every day, and I know it was
a good thing.
Yeah. You wake up, you feel optimistic.
Thing, yeah.
But you used to wake up and you used to go into an office of people, and it used to be different, and the boys had different roles at the company. And yes, you weren't always hands-on managing it like you were at one time, but that was an energy. And you were always that figure that they, just in terms of morale, company support, you're the people that you were the guy that everyone went to get that energy, to get
boost.
Right. So that does something to you. That makes you feel worthy and that you're there to do something. And when that all goes away,
part of the
problem. And not that you're not doing that in a selfish way. And a lot of the things that you said too, I think your goal was never always to sell. Some people's goals are to make money and to sell. It doesn't sound like that was your journey. Your journey was to explore what was out there and how to put your own spin on it. And then you'd find a way to do it and hold on to a piece of it and grow it, and then let the other piece that wasn't as pertinent go. That's still happening. You just don't have a desk to go to. You're still seeing all these things unravel. So at your age, it would be very easy to just call it and be on boards and
I don't know what
talk to
call it mean. What do you mean call it?
Like you don't like call, like some people really retire.
Yeah.
They go and they golf in Florida for half the year and then they travel the world or they spend time with their grandchildren. That seems to be enough for some people. I'm not saying for you. Well, you do a lot of those things, but you always laughed at that. I would never retire and go to Florida and golf. That's a joke to me. And to each its own, but that's not your.
Yeah.
So some people, what I'm saying is they have the money, the security, they have a family, they have the time now to go and be with the people they want to be with.
Right.
But that's all good. And you find ways to incorporate it. But that's also doesn't seem to get you moving in the morning to some degree. So it's like this interesting. And I just feel like there's a lot. It's not about reinventing yourself, but it's kind of like, where do you fit in now? And what's the next steps? Anyways, it sounds like you have a few
irons
to kind of, and that's okay, but it's uneasy is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is
for
uneasy.
A lot of people.
It's uneasy, and it's also, it's frustrating too, because I always think you got to be in the game to be in the game. And when you're not in the game, you don't feel it, you don't experience it, you don't see the shit the same way. If you're not getting dirty, if you're not hearing things, if you're not making mistakes, then
you're not relevant almost.
Well, you're just not there. You're just not there. And then you wake up one day and you're dead, or you're
or you're not able to do the same thing,
or you don't give a shit anymore.
Right.
Like, I still give a shit. It must be like an artist, right? They the art. And I'm certainly not that.
Right.
Or a musician, right? You talk to musicians or comedians, like these guys with those levels of talent. They're all neurotic people usually. Right. And probably one of their big neuroses is they're going to wake up one day and they don't have that talent anymore. They can't paint that picture. They can't tell that joke.
Right.
They can't do. They
lie on their deathbed with regrets, or things that I could have, should have, would have, or they're not able to do it.
It just, at some point you can't do it. I mean, very few people are very fortunate to be able to hang on to that passion and their ability to do what they love to do. Literally till the day they die. They get sick, they get injured, they get something. They get
their mental capacity is not there.
Or they have family obligations. They don't in the lucky position that we're in, that we have resources that are able to do stuff. Right. So I equate it to that. I mean, it's really the same thing that I think I'm experiencing, which is you just want to be there. You add something to the equation.
Right.
You might not be able to say like, oh, I developed that, or I designed that, or I came up with this or that. But intuitively, you wouldn't have had the success you had unless there was something that you were contributing to the overall equation.
You had to get there somehow. So
what is it? Is it your ability to deal with people? Is it your ability to have insights, to be fair and really love the experience of doing shit with people?
Right.
I think that's a big part of it. And I think it's a big part of why a lot of companies fail, because when as they're growing, they forget about the
social connection,
which is so obviously, which is critical. I mean, you have to have a hierarchy. You have to have, departments and roles, and people have to report to people. It can't just be a fucking free for all.
Right.
But there's got to be a level of respect, and you've got to be able to nurture the talent and let it go.
Right.
When it happens, right? So, and then again, not to repeat myself, but then you throw it into our industry,
right,
where the whole thing is like, boom,
right. It's so saturated,
and it's about to implode. And then you see the traditional companies that are struggling to try to figure this shit out, even though they're still making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the digital companies, like the big digital companies coming into the sports world.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really trying to figure it out. So it's really exciting. So, and then you see what's happening to your own company that you sold to
and you're
these
like,
other guys.
I would have done that differently. Or
it's just ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, now I can talk, actually, because I'm outside that zone where I couldn't really say shit. And, I'm along those lines. Next week, I think, I'm going to do my first sort of fireside chat in New York, back in the industry.
That's cool, though.
Yeah,
well, it
really
sounds
cool
to me that that's what brings you joy, because I'm hearing through a lot of this, the thing that really seems to fill your cup is that you get something from that interaction with people and understanding the needs and the wants, not just internally in the company, but externally. You're able to look at what's going on in the market, kind of adapt, see what's going on, and build something in an innovative, unique way that they're not doing already. But what you're doing, which is like what gets me going, is that you're looking at it from you're looking at each personal relationship once again, internally and externally, and saying, how is this working? Are people in the company taken care of? Are people outside of the company feeling like the product is giving them what they want, not what I want?
Right.
And that's a very big difference when you're able to put yourself in anything in life in someone else's shoes and think from that lens. You're always going to be 10 steps ahead because you can lead from so many self-centered reasons, from just wanting to turn profit, from, wanting to just make a name for yourself, and egotistical reasons. But you're looking at things from your own lens and what you're able to. How can I fix it? And I think my next question is, how do you know when you got a good idea? Like, how do you know when you're on to one that's really good? Because I want to talk a little bit about, we've talked a lot about sports, but progressing into how did some of these others businesses, one in particular, kind of just pop up? We're going to get into it, and it's called Pride Vision, and you can kind of speak to what it was. But I have very fond memories of being on the gay pride parade on the floats, throwing out condoms, whipping them at people.
Lollipops.
And licking my condom lollipops. I feel like that was out of left field a bit. I mean, you're not gay. The industry that you were involved in, you were in TV, but that was the only kind of parallel that you owned a network and were trying to kind of be on the pulse. So let's go back to the 90s and talk for a second. What happened with Pride Vision? How did you get there? Where was that all coming from?
Bottom line is, as different as it was, and I could just go all day about the stories about melding the sports network with the gay community. We had a small, facility, a small studio. The guys are cutting sports clips in the afternoon, and then we're doing gay porn at night. It was and there was oil and water between the teams. It was crazy times.
Because it was managed under one company still?
It was a score. It was me. It was us.
Right. It was smaller still at the time.
It was we're not a big company.
So it wasn't sports to
wasn't
literally
Pride Vision
gay
over
porn.
here. And the Dave Arrington, the guy who was running my the TV network, was running Pride Vision.
Right.
You never would have touched that with a 10-foot pole.
You had to wear a lot of hats.
And I had him on, floats and parades in Vancouver and San Francisco and Toronto and stuff. And at our studio, we had a little studio on Church Street. How did it come about? Okay, so again, we're in the cable business, and we've been in it forever. And there's this thing called the CRTC, which is the authority that authorizes programming, right?
Yeah.
So the same way that we actually decided to do the score, which was Headline Sports originally, there was that, I don't want to say scratching an itch. It sounds a little weird, but on the Pride Vision side of things.
A little too close to home.
But a little close to home. But in terms of, there was a need, right? Sports wasn't being delivered that way. There wasn't what I was talking about before. It was all top down, not bottom up, which is where it should be. Right?
Another one
that maybe worked for Pride Vision. So the commission called for new licenses, because that's how in Canada, to get a TV network running, specialty TV network, not only do you need the idea, not only do you need the money, you had to get a license from the commission.
Get approval.
So every number of years, as the industry was expanding and they were trying to feed more programming services all across North America, the commission would say, okay, we're opening for new ideas, new licenses. So I looked around and I said, okay, well, what is an underserved community here?
Right.
That doesn't have access to a programming network. I mean, there was some, gay programming on various networks, but there wasn't one that was dedicated to that community.
Right.
So I'm looking around. It's double income, no children, fairly affluent, very fucking creative.
Mm-hmm.
No problem putting content together.
Right. It seemed like a dream market.
We're in Toronto. I mean, gay capital of North America. So we go to the commission, and nobody else,
ever.
City TV had sort of thought about it a little bit, or the Chum group, because they're in the city, but they didn't. Anyway, so there was 2 or 3, and we won the license. We got this thing, and it's kind of like, you catch the tail. Now what do? Now we had to start from scratch.
Here we go.
Right.
Yeah. And you're like, am I starring in porno?
Now, where's this?
Marl, I don't know what
where's this. Where's the now we got to figure out the pro. So and half the people who were working with me, it was actually very funny. The applications going in, it was like half the people were working on were gay and half were straight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it was just a mixed bag.
Well, and you also have to talk to audience, so you have to know what you're talking about if you're not.
Anyway, so we ended up getting the license, and then we wanted to open up a little studio on Church Street, which we did right in the heart of the community, and off we went. We didn't have a lot of money to throw at it because the TV and this was just sort of in its nascent stages as well. This is genius,
right?
Like,
you saw an untapped market.
It was like
a group of
they
people
got money.
We'll
have advertisers flocking to this shit,
right?
So the first issue that we had was, as a specialty service, there's two types of services. Specialty services could be like you charge 15, 10, 20 cents a sub, and then you get onto the cable systems or the satellite distribution systems, or you become like a premium service like HBO or First Choice in Canada, where people pay $9, $10, $15, $20 a month for the individual. So again, I thought the right way to do this was to make it open because, theoretically, 10% of the population is gay, which, Theoretically, is that
a current stat?
Back then it was. Back then it was, and I'm sure it was higher than that because a lot of people just don't come out.
Yeah, of course.
But our marketing of it, because the whole idea with Pride Vision was launch it in Canada because you couldn't launch it in the States,
right?
Because it was too.
It was too risky for the time, right?
Too conservative in the States.
Oh,
right. To launch it, so launch it in Canada. Show that the world isn't going to blow up by having a gay network, and then get it into the States.
Bigger market.
Huge market. And the way we used to market it is because US to Canada is basically 10 to 1. If there's 40 million people in Canada, there's 400 million people in the US. Happens to be the same percentage of the supposedly gay people in a community.
Oh.
So our marketing was, all of, in the context of the US, all of Canada could be gay, right? 440 million people in Canada.
Yeah. Okay.
So if we could get this thing launched in Canada, get it into the States, then it'd be a big success. Anyway, so we launched it. But before we launched it, we had an issue with one of the distributors in Canada, Shaw.
Okay.
Big distributor out west who was just taken over by Rogers.
Okay.
Rogers embraced us.
Okay.
Because living in Toronto, living in this community.
Yeah.
Shaw did not embrace us.
What did they say?
I knew these guys. I grew up with these guys. These are like sort of friends.
So were you a little bit shocked when they came back?
No, not at all.
You knew what you were getting into bed with.
I didn't believe that they would resist based on their biases and stuff. I shouldn't say this, but if I was probably launching a Jewish network, I would have had the same issues out there.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
In today's context.
Oh, 100%.
So, and these are people, that gets to the whole other side of, what was that like back in those days? What was anti-Semitism like in those days? And I'm not saying everybody in Shaw is anti-Semites, but they certainly didn't like the gay network. I can tell you that for sure. Right. So when we were launching it as a normal premium,
open free service,
not free service.
It was you had to pay for your cable.
You pay for your cable. You pay for a package. It's part of the package.
Fine.
And Shaw said, not out here. We're not. I don't care what you got in terms of your license. We're not launching it. And it was hard for us to launch in half the country. So we had
out west didn't get it.
What we had to do is we switched the whole business plan. Instead of being just a normal specialty service, we turned it into a premium service where people would pay $9.
Yeah.
And again, I thought from a business standpoint, that would probably be okay because it was going to be so fantastic.
Right.
And they've got money. They're going to want it. And even though you don't have broad distribution of it, people who want it are going to be able to pay for it. It was hard.
And did they?
Some did, but not enough.
Okay. So then fast forward us. So then you got the business up and running. There was different terms, T's and C's on the West Coast, East Coast. There's general support, but how long was the business up and running for and what happened?
Well, the big nail in the sort of coffin was, remember I said to you that as a standalone premium service in Canada, as a business proposition, it was marginal at best. Mm-hmm. Just the numbers didn't really roll to make a lot of sense.
Right.
It had to get to the big market into the States. We got close. We almost had a deal with Time Warner in New York.
Okay, that would have been.
Which would have actually, I think, but it's one of those situations where
coulda, woulda, shoulda,
success, not success, right? That's one where we didn't get it.
Right.
On the sports side, I can tell you a whole bunch of situations where we almost went kapooey, but we managed to come out of it and come out of it very strong. That one we couldn't do. And so we ended up selling it. It still exists in Canada. It's not called Pride Vision. It's called something else now.
And the slogan was thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box.
Which is what you were doing.
Yeah, it was great. It was so much fun.
You don't view it as a failure?
Oh, absolutely not. It was amazing.
As an entrepreneur, it was one of the
for a whole bunch of reasons.
That you need to take.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't do shit like that, how are you ever going to know? Right?
And do you think you talk a lot about it being a business and this, and it made sense because this market and they were affluent and this or that. But I do think at the core, like the humility and as you as a person, there's also something there about wanting to help a group of people that were minority, that weren't able to maybe stand up for themselves, you know what I mean? Get the content that other people were getting that were pertinent to them, different from the sports thing, but still relevant. You were trying to personalize their journey so that they could
absolutely
feel included, that there was something out there.
And it was a great experience for me personally and for the people who, like I told you, like the sports guys got exposed to stuff they never would have. Like it opened up a whole new world for them.
Right.
Some positive, some negative, but you know, a lot of this is just, you have to be exposed to it. You have to let yourself be open to different things and
be open.
Right.
And see how it goes.
And see how it goes. And it was for me as well. It was an amazing experience. I learned more from that experience, or just about as much from that experience as almost anything else.
Yeah.
So, but financially, it was
right.
ridiculous.
But it was, and there's probably so many other little life lessons that allowed you to do different things from that you probably don't even realize. That's big, you know, once again, you can turn left, right, or go straight. And depending on how that lands, if that would have got picked up in the States, who knows where the sports stuff would have gone. Like it just,
exactly.
I kind of just see it as also, you were a little bit of ahead of your time, unfortunately, but you know, you were just.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, when you try to analyze what was a straight Jewish guy in the sports business launching a gay network. Like, what the fuck? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Are you nuts?
Right. And I'm sure you got that a lot.
Okay. So like, I never declared one way or the other. In terms of being the CEO of Pride Vision, whether I was straight or gay.
Oh, the mystery. You had a young family and a wife.
No, but nobody knows that. Like, they don't really know that. And
that's why you're getting a lot of like trying like for those kisses on the lips at the end of the business.
I told you about that one. That was I called that the reverse outing. That was my reverse outing.
That was when you knew that it was only one way.
I was on the floats. I was doing stuff. I wasn't pretending to be something I'm not. I was just out there having fun.
You're a man of the people.
So it was just, and then, you know, I can remember, I think it was in San Francisco or Vancouver. And, you know, there would be a lot of, you know, kiss, side side, yeah, it's all fair. Huggies, everything's fair. It doesn't matter. I'm cool with all that shit. And then one time, some guy took it a little further.
Just went right for it.
He looks at it. He
on
goes
the lips.
Right for it. And then, whoa. I said, like, here, we got to stop now. I said, he looks at me like this. And I figure, I'm fucked. Now, this is my moment of truth. Is there not talking what am I doing? No, not that. Yeah, I knew there was not going to be it. Because I was stopping. It was just like,
am I not into this? I'm not into this. Is what you're saying.
This guy's a phony piece of shit. Is what he's going to think of me, right? Like, you're bullshit artist. You're not gay, and
how could you
run a gay network? And if you're not gay, you don't know you're gay. You're not gay. What is this? What is this bullshit? So I said to him, look, I tried to do it nice. I said, look, I'm straight. I said, you see that kid over there? I think Benji was there. I said, that's my son. I have 3 other kids. I have 4 kids. I've been married for 100 years. I'm straight. And I'm looking at him thinking, I'm done.
The network's over. Done. Maybe that is actually why it went.
I'm done, right?
You should have committed maybe a little bit more to the role.
Okay. And walks away.
Doesn't give a shit.
Okay. Doesn't give a shit. Hugs the next guy down there. Like that was such a life lesson for me right there.
Yeah.
It was like, I was so worried.
Right. Well, you're so out of your own comfort zone. You were thinking
reverse outing was going to fuck me, and
didn't give 2 shits.
2 shits. He's
on to the next,
and it's see you later, and
bye.
So,
anyways, I think getting back to this and like people, what I've always also like admired with you is that from a business perspective, going there a bit, and then working with your family, which we know, my 3 brothers. There's 4 of us. My 3 brothers worked alongside my dad through the kind of not from the onset, but from
various stages.
Yeah, various stages. And they all came in and had their own roles and did their different things. And they all did a great job in their own way. But it was challenging, I mean, for me, because I was like the mediator a little bit and the therapist, but also the dynamics of going from being in family or in work, let's say, and having a blowout fight with one of your sons in a marketing meeting, and then literally 20 minutes later, I know exactly what happened because you called to vent or I heard it from one of them. And we're in my brother's backyard swimming with all the kids in the, beautifully. And it's just like, did you guys just not fucking have it out 2 seconds ago? And I would just like look at you. And it was just something that and something I actually have to learn more nowadays, which is challenging for me because you think you can always just be your authentic self in every situation. And you try to be, but you really have to learn how to have boundaries and how to have to, what is appropriate for this moment and what is appropriate for next. And I think there were so many things that I noticed with you running the family with the kids that like, I just really took a lot on myself as like life lessons. And I don't know if people saw that, but to be able to be so dual, were you able to do that? Like, how were you able to say the priority of my children and my family now in this moment, even though I'm so pissed, I know this deal may or may not go through, or he's not fucking listening to a word I'm saying.
Right.
And then to let it poof and you go and you swim with the grandkids. Like it showed such restriction or such emotional maturity in a way that I was like, and they would all be laughing right now because, the dynamic at home. But I saw it that way and I was just like, I don't know. And I don't know how you did it. And I don't know how you do it still.
Because it was a family business.
Yeah.
There was always the blend. I mean, you never left, work never stopped. I mean,
right.
We came home, we were all living together, it's dinner
yeah.
conversations, it's picking up the phone, you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
The 2 boys are at each other, the 3 boys are at each other. You're trying to figure out what to do. And that was the beauty and the pain of family businesses, right? Yes, they all had their own lane, but they're all strong personalities and they're all different. They're all good at different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were there for different periods of time. Like Benji was there forever, and then Aubrey, and then Noah,
right.
and then staging it during the businesses at different times, right? So, but family's always the most important.
That was it. Family comes first. That's kind of what it was to you. And I can see you're a little emotional in a good way. It's nice. It's just that I think at the core has to be what's leading it. Because
it's
if
hard.
not,
it's hard because it's business is business and it's fun and it's exciting. And then family is family, right? So, I'm going through it now. Noah's in Florida.
Right.
You're here, 3 boys. Benji's here with the 4. It's like
right. Your life is a little bit divided.
It's you want to be with all of them as much as you can. Like when this is done, do I have time to go see Milo for 20 minutes before I have to go to this thing tonight?
Exactly.
And then fly back to fucking Florida tomorrow.
Right.
What am I doing in Florida? That's right. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so I got the baby there, right? So
your role's kind of all
it's
constantly. It's always
evolving.
Been a blended.
It's always been a blended thing, but you always. But and maybe it's just mom and I. It's just kind of like, we just want to be with the kids all the time.
Right. You actually enjoy it. It's a rarity. And going to this whole family thing, like I'll get stopped in the streets by your parents are insane. Like I don't understand how they like want to do this. Like we talk about it all the time. Like there are just parents and there's no right or wrong. Listen, being a parent is such a big job. By the time I'm a fucking grandparent, I have no idea. No, but like by the time I'm a grandparent, like no, I have no idea if I'm going to be able to put in the time that you're doing. Like that feels like I'm going to take a time out and go sit on a beach, honestly. But the desire and the drive is there. And I feel as a mother, we get that. But as a grandparent, it's like, it really is when I get the compliments on the street, but it is true. So I think it's a passion of yours, it sounds like, to want, but you really.
Well, it's fun. It's just fun to be like, it's also part of keeps you going. Right.
It keeps you young. It keeps you
going.
active.
Like I'm, getting up at 7 to go see, Shmagegi play hockey, Wesley and Xander, when you see them do shit that they like.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Right.
And then you can,
it's relatable in a weird way. It takes you back. It keeps you young.
Yeah. It's the same shit we do with you.
Right.
And what we did with the boys. Right. It's I don't want to say rinse and repeat, but it really, what we're doing with them is exactly what we did with you.
Yeah. No, it's just pretty remarkable because some people would have said, I've done it, did it, been there, bought the t-shirt, goodbye. Like I'm not doing that again. Yeah. But there is that drive. And I think that probably makes sense why you were able to work with family in the business because it was such a big priority to you your whole life,
Plus the other side too is they had separate talent. They had talents I didn't have.
Right.
They did
So
shit
you were
better
able
than
to learn
me.
for sure. And being open and
So,
being, that's like,
you know, I mean, it wasn't just, oh, come and work for me and, you know, that's nice. Here's a paycheck. These guys fucking built the businesses.
But that also must have impacted your ego. Let's just be real for 1 second. Like, you've run this company your whole life and you're involved and you're doing this. Then you have someone come in to some degree. We all know Benji, the oldest, he's savant smart, right? In terms of his intellect and is able to retain knowledge and details. And so, no, but I'm just like thinking personally, like having.
I don't ever see that. No, I don't.
Okay.
Ego, never. I don't. Honestly, maybe I'm being naive. There were other emotions that I felt.
Yeah.
Like I'm fucking smarter than you in this particular
like,
case.
Listen
this
to
isn't,
me.
This isn't, that's not an ego thing.
Right.
No, you're not right. I'm right.
Right.
Some of the time.
Pride-ish. I
don't know if it's pride or it's just experience or I don't know what the fuck it was. But those are the hard ones to deal with because then, okay, if you want them to do what they're supposed to be doing, then you got to maybe back off.
Right. Like, it's almost like parenting in a work environment. It's like, what's real individualization? It's like, you brought them in, you care about them, but
now
you know they're going to have to do their own version of it. Like,
now, they'll tell you that, you know, it was nothing like that. You were a fucking idiot. They knew everything that they were doing, and they built this, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. But again, I'm not that person that worries about that because I know what I can do. I know what I can contribute.
So, what did you think? What do you think your biggest contribution is to the family? To what you're like, if you could say at this round table that you're going to in a few hours, like, John, what's the takeaway? What's your advice to give to young entrepreneurs or to your family, people that are going out there is trying to start something, whatever that may be, putting themselves out there, taking a risk, doing something outside of what they're doing right now to fill their cup for joy, for happiness, for something more than what's going on? What would you say is a good piece of advice that you'd say, this is at least what kept me going or what I learned that, and I know that's a big question, but it's just like, what was your driving force through this all? Other than just thinking you have a good idea.
I think the one piece of advice I do give to all these kids, and they're not kids, they're like 30,
no,
30
I know,
40,
but they're starting
you know,
different
they're
careers
lawyers,
or changing
some of them
careers.
are changing careers and stuff, is really two things. Number one is trust yourself. That's the big one. Be confident and trust yourself. Because if you don't fucking believe in yourself, and if you're not confident in yourself, and that doesn't mean you're going to be right all the time. You're going to be probably wrong a lot of the time. But that doesn't define you. But just have the guts to remain confident in yourself.
Okay.
And just fucking get out there and do it. Just do it.
Put one foot in front of the next.
Just go. Because, you know, not every step's going to be in the right direction.
Yes.
And, you know, a lot of, especially with these kids tonight, they're in a job they don't like. They don't like their boss. I'm a fucking accountant. I want a private business. I'm a lawyer and I hate it. I can't tell you how many times I hear that at these things. You know, I don't hear much. I'm working with my family and they're all a bunch of idiots, but I'm sure that's there.
Yeah.
Be confident in yourself and because you guys are in the prime of your life and you can't really make a really bad decision. Don't hold yourself back because you think, you know, it's going to negate what I'm able to do next time or the time. Every step you take, you're going to learn from. Right. And even if it's a bad one, you're going to know better for the next one. Right. And if you don't take that step,
you're not going to learn.
You know, you might get stuck in a situation where you're 20 years older.
Yeah.
And you can't make the moves that you can make now. So just live every experience, obviously be balanced with your family and stuff like that. I mean, I can't tell people to be balanced with their family. You either are or you're not.
No, but like, it's funny you say that because we've, on an intimate level, had many conversations over my life of being happy in a relationship, not happy in a relationship, where that landed me, how to get out, when to get out. It was never something, you know, for you that we could always there was no guideline, there's no roadmap. Right. Like, oh, once you have 2 kids, you might start feeling differently. Once you have 3, it was always just like, I had to trust myself in these things, and I didn't know what that would bring.
Right.
And truthfully, being divorced or going through things from a business, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But the life lessons I've learned now from doing it, I could never have told my old self, like, oh yeah, once I'm all alone and sad and crying on the floor, I'll really realize why, having this whatever. Sure. But it's just, and I think that's actually the hardest part because you're actually telling people to trust themselves, but they're going to go through hardships. Right. And I think that's what everyone needs to realize that like hardships are like just part of the equation.
Right.
And if your life is so simple, and I'm not talking about just resources, but if you have no hardships, you have nothing to learn from.
For sure.
And people keep themselves in that bubble with the no hardships because they can or they want to.
Or
and
they're afraid.
Or they're afraid. And I can honestly say I was living that life for so long because comfort and safety took a priority over
For sure.
the what ifs and that drive that we all have. And
sure.
I really like what you said, because what might drive you is different than what drives me, but I know what drives me. And sometimes I can articulate, sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
But it is that feeling.
Yeah.
And when I'm off course, when I let that feeling sit for too long, when I'm doing something I don't think I should be doing, it comes up in different ways. It always does. So I feel like that is one of the biggest, for me, like greatest life lessons that you taught me, that the takeaway is that you just have to lean on you.
Go.
And there's something I'll never forget that you kind of told me. It was people started coming and asking for money. Truthfully, it was just what happens. It's like when people know that you've sold a company for X amount of dollars and that no one really understands how it works. Everyone thinks, oh, that figure that I said just goes right into your pocket and right into my pocket. Like there's not other investors and people.
Right.
Regardless, it's still a shit ton of money. People have perceptions of how it lands. My whole big thing is not using that to feel not inadequate, but feeling less than in a way. I've had to step up in life because of it. And I've been so fortunate, but not to see it as it is what it is. I grew up in the family that I grew up with. You made the business decisions that you made that landed me here to be able to do this. And so instead of being like, oh, like I only got this because my daddy has money, I have to see it as, well, what am I doing with the position that I'm in? And what as everyone can do when they're in their position. And resources or not, it plays out into if you're living into your purpose or not. But having these resources can often cloud your judgment and make you think differently about things. And I don't know if you'll ever remember this, but people started coming in for money and I didn't know what to do, and we were structuring things. And the one thing you said to me, because I'm such a crowd pleaser, and I've always been, and I'm really trying to have these boundaries where I just don't say yes to everything and give people what they want. And someone wanted a range of money for one of their organizations, and it was something I really believed in. And there was a $2,500 donation and a $5,000 donation. And I asked you, and I wrote back an email. I'm like, I'm just going to give the $5 if that's cool, blah, blah, blah. And then you called me after and you go, why do you want to give the $5 over the $2,500?
Right.
You asked me. You actually called me and I go, well, I don't know. None of them are 10 is kind of what I said. They're all kind of in that ballpark. I like the organization. I like what we're talking about. Why not? And you said to me, the second you lose the perspective of the difference between $2,500 and $5,000, the second you lose perspective of that is you've lost it. There is that difference in that 25, you're doubling what you're offering. And by doing so, and not even thinking twice about that, it's not the starting point. It's what you're doing. It's the psychology of it. It wouldn't have made zero difference in my financial outcome, anything, but it made a difference in how I approach life. And I think that was like, for me, one of the greatest business lessons that I learned from you. And it was just like this random anecdotal story, but it was like very much how you probably don't even realize the impact on the kids and that level of wisdom to just say, just check yourself. Like, just check yourself. Or like, what's the why? And the why doesn't have to just always be the yes and to give the top amount. So that was always really like interesting to me. And then kind of like navigating now a little bit into this Jewish angle. We've touched a little bit upon this. And it's one of those things where I didn't want to make this podcast solely about being Jewish. That's not what this is about. I'm a proud Jew. It's the lens I live my life. It's the way we were brought up, from cultural to religion to all that stuff. It's who I am. It's the thread I weave, and it's what I am. But I hate this sense of othership going on in the world, and I find it really problematic. You know, it's us versus them. It's them versus us. And I think it's not just a Jewish thing. It's a race thing. It's currently what's happening. And you get behind certain leaders or politics, and then that impacts this or that and how you feel about things. So I guess just like where this whole Jewish thing started, like, how are you just feeling right now as someone that is a Jew in Toronto, predominantly living in this world that we're living in? How just do you feel? What are your sentiments? Like, I've got a little bit of a rapid fire I want to give you that's a little bit lighter, but just kind of where we're at right now. How are you feeling? What's the climate that you feel about being a proud Jewish man, entrepreneur, husband, father?
Just scary. Like I've never felt before. What's happened in the last little while, I don't know how to describe it. We've never lived through anything like this. It's as if you're living through what happened in the 40s,
Right.
again.
Right.
And you have a marker for it. And that never happened before then. So can you sort of say, well, people didn't know what was happening, or if they did know what was
Right. We
happening,
chalked it up to a lot of ignorance, and yeah.
but I'm sure there was not ignorance. I'm sure there was a lot of cover up, and I'm sure there was a lot of anti-Semitism that allowed that to happen. And but now it's so in the open, it's blatant, and what's frightening is how silent people are about it. Our reaction is what it is. I mean, the fact that we found organizations to help, the fact that we're challenging politicians to make sure that they're on board.
Right.
We're not letting shit happen in the city at city councils and and with trustees that is completely out of whack.
Yeah.
We're looking at, well, how did this happen? It was, through immigration and people coming into this country and basically taking it over. So, it's very, very, very scary. And, is it helpless? No, I think we're going to get back to a point of where we can live with it. It's never going away. I always say one of the things that worried me about what was happening in the States and sort of the whole Trump situation, and Trump's very positive for Israel. And the only thing that makes me smile is when I think and hear what he says about the state of Israel, and there's a lot of other shit that he
but
says.
Then earmuffs for the rest of it.
For the rest of it, I go,
but
and
that's
even
also right.
But, at least he's on our side now.
Today,
and very vocal about it. And even yesterday when he came out after meeting with the hostages, basically.
No, for sure. He's
standing
up for
right. Whereas for years it was just sort of this
silence.
complacency and like, oh, okay, we'll have to deal with it. But so yeah, no, it's frightening. And sending kids to school and stuff, with Sherman tanks sitting in the parking lots.
It's crazy. No, there was an incident at the school yesterday where someone in the middle school carved a swastika into the bathroom. I'm like, what's the messaging there? Like, but my problem is with this, and then we're going to make it a little bit later. It's just where I see the problem is that us as Jewish people, we're just talking to each other.
Yeah.
On Instagram, we're all just saying the same things to one another. And that's what's really infuriating to me. And that's also why I hope to have more lens and different people on this podcast. Look at this. Look at us. Look at this father-daughter. Look at this podcast. Like, you don't want to kill me. You don't know me. What does that mean to you? And why is there that just immediate hate for othership with the lack of understanding and knowledge? And we can say that for all these different things in life. Are you racist? Are you this? Are you that? Like, how do you go through life trying to be as open-minded as possible? But that's what everyone's missing. They're talking to, it feels like we're talking to themselves, and the other people that are in similar or different positions are also talking to themselves, and no one's remaining in that open sphere that we don't have to just be this victim, of this situation. Right. We have to be the survivors almost. And when we keep on making ourselves these victims in a lot of these situations, which it feels like it's constant, it's hard to then get the status and the title which people are so deserving of, not to be treated against for anti-Semitic, racial, all these other things, sexism. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm yelling into my phone, which I'm not because I'm not even on really social, but we're all speaking to each other. And as much as I want to talk and promote and push, and this is why one of the reasons I started this was to get the lens out that it's important to see who people are and what they're doing. But how do we get it outside the circle?
But when you see who they are.
Yes.
When you see who they are, you got to call them out. You can't be silent. There's no us and them. I mean, there is there's no ambiguity here.
Right.
And the risk that you run in trying to figure out why are they thinking like this or why are they supporting this, you got to start from the basic premises that this cannot happen. It should not be allowed to happen, and it will not be fucking tolerated.
Right.
Period. End of story. If you're supporting them, you have to be put in your place one way or the other. There's no room for dialogue on this shit. But there's no room for dialogue. And if you're quiet and complacent with it, then you're as guilty as the people who are. And if you don't understand it, it's even worse.
Right.
So what worries me a little bit about what you're saying, Lan, is there has to be dialogue, and yes, we have to try to figure shit out, and but there's no us. There's no middle ground here. There's no middle ground here.
Right.
Israel has to survive as a state. Jews cannot be categorized as what currently we're being categorized.
Mm-hmm.
And to any, you just have, nobody can just
It's
not.
it's a zero tolerance
It's
for
a zero
bullshit
it's zero tolerance.
But yeah, but
period.
Right.
And any politician, anybody who is on that other side has to be held accountable.
Right.
For a while.
Yeah.
For a while. Then, I'll let them crawl back into their shell later. Like,
well,
and then we can have another 50 years of peace.
It's a mass there. It's also a numbers game. And what's happening is, right, when you get a bunch of people together and put this narrative in place, then it just becomes dangerous. So anyways, that's a little bit heavy, but we're going to make it a little bit lighter. Okay. Because I was like, I wanted to launch this podcast. I'm a proud Jew. I have lots of non-Jewish friends, non-Jewish people in my life. Like but I wanted to make this part a little bit funny and Jewy because I was like, am I even Jewish enough to be hosting a podcast that has in the title "Hi"? Like, I was like, what's my barometer on how Jewy I am? So I thought it'd be fun to just go through a few things, rapid fire. Just give me answers as quickly as you can, short, not long, about some of these questions. And then
we're done. Are we done yet or no? No,
we're
not
almost
yet.
there. Yeah,
okay,
this is it. Am I boring you? Okay.
No, you're not boring me,
We're
but
there.
I think I know what's coming, and I think it's probably better for me to leave now. But go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So ready?
Yeah. Shoot.
What's my Jewish name?
Lenich. You put a chich in there, and it's
no. So if mom was here.
Mom was here, she'd have it.
Yeah, and I know my Hebrew name.
Metachaya.
No.
Who's Metachaya?
Not mine. My name's Ilana.
I could have guessed that, Lenny.
And all my non-Jewish friends know that too. Okay, cool. Did you always want 4 kids?
Yes.
4 or lots.
We wanted lots. I would have gone. We were even thinking about more, but.
Wow, Mom.
But again, like you guys were all 3. The joke.
Yeah.
We were all 3 years apart, and blah blah blah. So we started early, but yes, we always wanted a big family.
Okay, you always wanted big. Do you eat bacon?
Oh yeah.
Crispy?
Only one.
Canadian style?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Why did you become the president of our shul?
It was one of those situations where we were losing it. Like the rabbi was
it just
like
wasn't
in la
running.
land. There was nobody showing up anymore. And it's a question I'm looking at today too. The whole Jewish community in Hamilton, like what are we doing, and
how are we doing enough, and
how do we preserve it, and that sort of thing. So it was kind of like if nobody stood up, we were going to lose it.
Were you surprised when I asked you to get a nose job?
Yeah.
Like,
was I surprised?
Like, did you know? Did you see it coming? Like, were you like, oh, I've got a daughter, she'll get a nose job? Was it like typical, or were you like, okay, guess we're doing this?
It's just I mean. Truth be known, your mother had one too.
Right. and then they tried to do a twofer for mine.
Yeah, well, so I fell in love with your mother because she looked like Barbara Streisand, and then because
do know that.
Remember?
Yeah, no, I
and
do
then
know that
somebody,
story,
some dickhead who was her boyfriend at the time, made a comment. She got a big nose, and then she ran off.
That's why.
I don't.
Oh,
I don't
Mom.
know.
Anyways,
No, I was not. That was not tattoos though. Nose job, okay.
No, I don't have a tattoo. That was one of the only strict rules that was put into my house. Why did Noah have his bar mitzvah in Aruba?
Because he was the only fall baby, number 1.
Okay, yeah.
Number
November,
2, we had gone through all the traditional shit with you guys.
And Aruba, just so everyone knows, we go over the Christmas break. That's why it made sense.
And it was amazing.
He was just the 4th, and it was like, let's just.
And I found a nice little shul there. It was really amazing.
Yeah, vomited on the rabbi's lawn in the middle of the Torah portion.
Yeah, you did.
Do you know the Shabbat blessings?
Probably not. Yes, I do.
Okay, do the one over the candles.
I know the wine. Asher Kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu.
No, you're doing the candles. Lahad Ner.
Lahad Ner.
Shal Shabbat.
Shal Shabbat.
There you go.
You had it.
You did the right one.
Wow.
You did it.
Wow.
Without looking it on ChatGPT. I feel like none of us could have done that. Okay. How spiritual would you say you are? Like, do you think that you've got like where are you going after you croak? Do you think you've got spirit guides? Like, do you believe in karma, any of this life stuff?
I think I am.
Gonna hang out with Cecil and Helen?
That's a bunch of different questions there.
No, but
I am
that's
spiritual.
Okay. What's this spiritual mean to you?
I think there's more to life than life. I think there's something more there.
Yeah.
I can't define where you go, or am I going to see mom and dad when I'm dead?
Yeah. You don't know what it holds, but you believe
I just can't believe it's over. It's over.
Okay. And this is the last question. How do you define success? Like, just quickly, what do you define as success?
Well, on both sides. On the family side, it's keeping the family as part of your life and being close with your family.
Okay.
That's success. Business success is building shit that other people say you can't build and turns into something.
Right.
That you're able to take something and build it. And that's what
like you got like that David and Goliath thing going on.
Yeah.
I think you've always had that.
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, I wanted to thank you. I did this once before with you, right?
Yes, we did.
And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think it was okay. I think it went over okay too. So
this one or the other one? You mean this one?
The first one we did.
Sure,
the first one got.
I think you actually were one of the top.
I think it was. I remember it being fun and stuff.
Yep.
So I was looking forward to doing this. I'm glad it worked out, and I just want to also congratulate you on putting this together, because I think it's not only important, but it also speaks to the sort of shit that you're really good at.
Thank you.
Which is getting people to talk. The way you interviewed me, even, I think, was very natural.
Okay, good.
It was great.
I like good.
We covered a lot of shit, a lot of topics, but you brought different perspectives into it.
Okay.
That were insightful.
Yeah. Love this. This is like my first, what's it called? Testimonial.
But I and I'm not just saying this because I'm your fucking dad.
I have to, yeah.
Because I do some of these, and sometimes they're not natural, and people are just looking to get shit out and on the record and stuff. But it was a good conversation, and I'm sure you're going to be successful. And anytime you want me to do this again, I'd be more than happy.
Well, I hope to have you back on, and not just because you are my dad, but because you do have the
next episode. When we write the next episode, we'll come back.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay.
Both of us. Maybe I'll interview you next time.
Okay.
How's that?
I'd be down for that. A little flip ski.
That'd be fun.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming. Thanks, and thank for the kind words. It's not easy putting yourself out there. So to hear that means a lot to me. So thank you.
Good job. Really good job.
Thank you.